All right, y'all. Let's get emotional. Back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review, here to discuss the Netflix film Pieces of a Woman starring Vanessa Kirby and Shia LaBeouf. Now, what did I think about this film, and why do I feel like we need more films like this, and how do I feel like this movie shed light on another side of childbirth that we rarely see discussed? Before we get into that, I need you guys to drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that, and then we're going to come back and discuss all things childbirth. Now that you guys have hopefully subscribed to see more of me, let's get into why I enjoyed this emotional roller coaster of a film. Now, as a mother of two myself, it's not always common to discuss those woes of childbirth. You know, the rate of women who have really tough struggles in their pregnancy, the women who have really high risk pregnancies, the women who have really high risk of, miscarriages when they do get pregnant, or those women who do have bundles of joy and they might not make it into this world. So to see it put to film here and it not just be a basking moment, and it was so emotional for them on screen and us as an audience, I felt like we needed to see this so that, women who have these issues, they see it put to screen and it's not something that's, kind of shunned away and not discussed. It was really hard to see here, but we needed it. So now that we've gotten into that, let's get into the movie. So to start off with this film, we start off with the typical preparations for being parents. Especially when it's your firstborn, you see, the maternity leave happening, the baby shower, the, getting your new mom car, your family car, going through those mid preparations. You're at the very end, you're in your last trimester. Now, this part of the film really focuses on that strong bond that the couple had, Sean and Martha, our Shia LaBeouf and our Vanessa Kirby characters, right before they're about to have their baby. And it's so emotional to see, because it's something that everybody has experienced, whether you've had, me, myself, I prep for hospital, home, I don't know, we ain't having nothing at home. I'm trying to be where the med's at. But we see them, prepping, for, we need the midwife and we're going to have our baby naturally at home. But we see that it's against her mother's, Ellen Burstyn's wishes. Now, when I saw her, Miss Mother from The Exorcist, Miss Requiem for a Dream, I was like, okay, shit is about to get emotional. Anytime you see this woman in a movie, 9 times out of 10, you about to cry. But we see that this is what she wants to do. And you also see that they are so excited to be expecting. And that's when, we come into play of, in those moments, especially if, you've been to your doctor's appointments, you've got, your checkups and everything seems fine. All the way at the end on that day, you're not prepping for the what ifs. You're just, expecting, you're ready for that warm bundle of joy to be in your arms and in your hands. And we see that. And we get into that really, really long take of just her going into labor and, by chance, not able to get the midwife that she had planned for and going with a secondary choice. But besides that, we get a really long, ongoing shot of just labor pains and just pushing, and hey, you want to get on the ball, just when you go through all those options that you like, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and when you actually go into labor, just fuck all of that. I'm just whoo, whoo. You just get the noises come, those groans come, those motherland jungle ass noises come out of your throat. We're not worried about that. I want no ball. I don't know why pregnant people always want somebody, can I hold your hand? Just let me squeeze your hand. We gotta hold someone's hand, let you feel some of this pain. And we see that Sean, the husband character, is there with her every step of the way, loving, just as excited and here for it as she is. He's there for everything. We also see, from the beginning that not only is he excited, but he's taking the time to frame, the sonograms and have it, hung on the wall. The nursery is done. Like, we're ready with him. Now, even though we're going through this natural at-home birth, as soon as we get more into the midwife and we see her, checking those vitals and that heartbeat, we hear it. It's strong. It's there. We're waiting, like, just push. But along with her, we kind of see that heartbeat, that rate kind of fade a little bit and get lower and lower. And me, as a mom, I'm on the other side of the TV, like, go to the hospital, call the doctors, go to the hospital. Red flag, red flag, which is so scary about an at-home birth. I know people, have their preferences, but my preferences, and we see, the values of having that at-home birth, with it being, so natural and regal and so personal. I really loved how the husband got to be so involved and hands-on with her versus, the hospital setting where, you have people surrounding you. Sometimes your husband, your man, your mate might not even be in the delivery room. Like, he was so hands-on in there and touching and breathing and inhaling and exhaling out the water, on the couch, on the ball, in the bed with her every step of the way. And I get why people would opt for that. But we got to see that scary side when, she started to, have complications and she was pushing and, we felt like nothing was happening and we slowly have this heart rate failing. Which brings me into that final shot of, the head coming out and we're with her. And at this point, even though you may have read the synopsis and you know what the film is about and you know what you're probably expecting, you see that baby come out and you hear that cry. And most of the time when you see it and you hear that cry, like, all I'm listening for is a cry and my baby's moving and it's warm. That's all we need. That's the go. Now, though we see, the midwife getting kind of nervous, and we're nervous with her and we want her, which she is saying, call the ambulance, we may need to get someone here. Don't be alarmed, but it's natural. You can never expect the unexpected during childbirth, especially at home, which is why I am pro hospital, something on site. If something does go wrong, we're already here and it can be done with really quick versus having to have someone get to you, especially I think they're in New York. But we see that baby come out and we have that sigh of relief with her, because so far we were with her. But to have that moment cut so short after, the midwife has had a sigh of relief, the mom, the husband, and that cry, and we saw the baby and how beautiful the baby was. Like, that's such a pretty baby. It was very emotional and so intimate. And then we see that baby start to turn blue, which we know means the baby is not breathing. That moment was snatched back so quickly and so abrupt, and you felt like as an audience it was snatched from you also, because the moment had been so intimate and so personal up until the baby coming out, up until we see, Shia LaBeouf running out in the ambulance in the cutaway. That's all we needed, was that cutaway and the look on that midwife's face. We knew what happened. And it was a lot. Now, from that point, we skip ahead, a little bit, like a month or so ahead. With this movie, And it being, you know, month after month, it felt like years with how the pacing was, and all of the emotions that Martha's character and Shia LaBeouf's character was going. It felt like it was going on forever. Yet we see, you know, October, November, December. It's like, jeez. But immediately after, you know, we cut away and fade to black and we get back into their relationship and the relapse that's happening, you immediately see that change, which is to be expected. But with how abrupt it was, it made me feel like, well, damn, I don't think their relationship was that strong to begin with. But we get more into recovery, you know, having to go back to work and having to, you know, see people who saw you and embraced you while you were pregnant and full term, but yet you returned without a baby, and, you know, the whispers at work and people, you know, approaching you in the grocery store, and you seeing, you know, other children on the street with their parents, and people not knowing what to say and how to handle it. They just know you were pregnant and you weren't, and we're sorry. But not only, you know, not having that baby, but having to deal with the aftermaths of when you do have a baby. You know, you wearing that diaper pad for the leakage, and, you know, still having to, you know, lactate. I'm pro breastfeeding. Breastfeed those babies out there. It was a lot. I don't know how I would be so receptive of having those symptoms and going through those emotions of that nursery, all that prep, going into being a mom and about to, you know, love your baby, and you don't have your baby anymore. And it made me think of, you know, having to miscarry versus having a baby full term. Both are just so horrible and sickening and negative, but it was like, you know, at least with the miscarriage, you don't, you know, it's typically early on and you don't see much. You don't hear much. You don't really have, depending on how far along you are within the miscarriage, you don't have much thoughts of, you know, what if. But to see that baby come out and to hear it cry and to see it put on her chest and to see your daughter or your son, I was crying, y'all. I don't know what y'all was doing. I was crying my emotional ass. But we immediately get into the sadness. Not only do we see that the relationship between the two is really strained and stressful, as, you know, can be imagined, but we see where, you know, them trying to file a suit to kind of place the blame on the midwife or the hospital, just trying to inquire about what happened, why didn't my baby make it, what was going on, and them not really getting a lot of answers, because, you know, with childbirth, it could be a million things. It's not always one thing. Sometimes, you know, things just happen. But we see, you know, there's a continuation of, you know, us trying to kind of stick it to the midwife, yet we see that Martha is not there. And I've seen a lot of talk of, you know, oh my God, Vanessa Bryant, oh my goodness. Vanessa Kirby was so great here. She was so awesome. It was Vanessa for me, and this movie in particular, though he has all these things going on outside of, you know, the acting world legally, it was Shia LaBeouf for me. I don't know if it's because I grew up with Shia and, you know, the Disney Channel and Even Stevens and Holes and all of that. But to see him here in a lot of projects that he has done in the past that has just shown his range, here it was Shia for me. Like, I felt for him as just a man on the other side dealing with a partner and not knowing what to do because they're so, you know, dense and so cold. Martha was so cold and so unemotional. We didn't see any you know, real emotions on her part, given, you know, them going to the doctor and going to, you know, say that they're going to, you know, pursue something, and him not, you know, I don't know what to tell you, no emotion. Them going, you know, to have the burial and get the writing and the name and the spelling, and though, you know, everybody's emotional at that point, Martha just going, oh, you know, it doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm going to give the baby up, you know, for science. And just being so emotional with Shia. And he's like, you know, no, why are you being like this? I don't know how to handle this. I don't really know what to do. But even in that sense of kind of feeling sorry and identifying with Shia, the moves that he makes going forward makes you kind of go, yeah, I feel like, I don't know, this marriage wasn't really, it wasn't really clicking on all cylinders. Not saying that they weren't grateful to be parents and to being love and all of that, but how quick that deterioration happened of their relationship, though it was strained. Not my man, not my marriage. You have to be there on all cylinders to support your partner through all emotions or lack thereof. And we see that Shia maybe wasn't built for that. You see them go through the emotions of, you know, not only blaming the midwife, but themselves and kind of trying to place the blame. You always think of, you know, what could I have done different to avoid this? Or, you know, why us? Why our baby? We also see that despite, you know, the mom's wishes and the husband, Martha opts to still give her baby's body for science. And the mom, you know, is still trying to pry, like, well, if you're going to go through with this, at least, you know, let us get her remains so we can, you know, have a proper. She's just so unconcerned and so uncaring, and we can completely understand why. But it's just really hard to see here, just to see her just go down. And, you know, we're shouting on the other side, like, girl, it's okay. Like, trying to be a supportive cast. We also see, you know, every little bit of a month or 2 months go by, and the husband character is, you know, wanting that affection. And, you know, she's still lactating. They're talking but not talking. It's, you know, lack of communication going on. It's, you know, I just want you near me. I just want you to touch me. How about we go to Seattle? We are going to get into Seattle because we're going to get into Seattle and me seeing Shia LaBeouf's man bush more than I care to. Because, yeah, they could have put that up. But we, you know, we get into the mom character, her mother being so heavy-handed and so involved, and how you can just agree with everybody all around in the whole spectrum. You can agree with Martha not having emotions, being withdrawn, not wanting to deal with anything, just wanting to go and lay down and, you know, nurse her lactated breast. I want nothing to do with this. I don't want to see this nursery. I want this out of here. We don't have a baby. Why are we keeping it? Versus Shia, I don't want you to give my baby to science. Promise me that you want. I don't want you to, you know, take down things in our nursery, break the sonograms that I have framed. I don't want any of this. Why are you rushing this? Let's go through this together. You can also identify with the mother. Though she may have handled it in her own way. You know, if you had done this my way, I told you that having a midwife was a bad idea. You should have went to the hospital. I told you that you should, like, it's, everything was so emotional, you guys. But to add insult to injury, all while being emotional, you see the bond happening between the husband and the mom character, which, you know, under any other circumstances would have happened. Because you see the bickering going on right from the start, and the mom, you know, going to buy a car and him feeling, you know, emasculated. I could have bought the car. She did this on purpose. You see that there is no love there. This is no, oh, that's my son-in-law relationship. No. You see the mom just slightly feels like you could have done better. And like slightly towards the end, we're feeling like, girl, yeah, you could have done better. But we get more into Shia, you know, no longer wanting to be emasculated by the rich mom character or the well-off mother character, and goes, no, I do want to pursue, you know, a prosecution and getting a lawyer, but I want to take the paperwork to the lawyer myself. Let me do something. And we also get more into him, you know, having substance abuse issues, and we get, you know, into his sobriety and, you know, or lack thereof. And we just see things slowly just crumble. And these people who had so much affection for each other 5 minutes ago into the film turn into absolutely nothing. And it's like, well, damn, like, I just was so curious as to know what was holding their marriage together before. But we see, you know, abuse on both parts start to happen, them kind of, you know, being really cold towards each other. Shia in turn being, you know, cold towards her because she's so cold towards him and he doesn't know how to handle it. He's not equipped to handle it. And I'm just thinking, you know, as your wife and you're as my husband, you know, support me. Just do everything you can instead of stray. Now we see Shia, you know, bring the paperwork. As soon as he brought that paperwork and how little mama opened that door, the cousin, the relative, the lawyer opened that door and gave him a little look like, okay, yeah, come on in, bring that paperwork. I was like, no, this is not the answer. We're shouting, no, this is not the answer. We also see that despite, you know, how cold Martha is towards, you know, her family and sisters alike, she's, you know, obsessing over, you know, apples and smells and seeds and, you know, and we're not exactly sure why, but we realize, you know, later towards the film. So not only at this point are we dealing with, you know, infidelity, you know, we've had infidelity, we've had issues with sobriety, we've given the baby up for science, we have yet to see or know if they had, you know, a proper burial, the, you know, possibly, you know, senile, borderline senile mom, their relationship is strained. The relationship is strained with the sister. Mother is like on a fast crash course to nowhere. We see her, you know, isolating herself and, you know, wondering, you know, what if. We see her kind of gazing at children, you know, on the bus and the handprints. And it's just something that, you know, you can't avoid as a mom. You're going to always see children. You know, some things happen in life. You can easily put it behind you with time, but how can you keep yourself away from motherhood and children? So every little thing for her is a trigger. But we know we get more off into this infidelity. We even see the sister come by and you know, bring the, oh, you know, he sold the car because once again, all in the family, we've purchased the car from a family member to get commission. And we see how far Shia, the husband character, has strayed from the beginning with his sobriety and with his jokes, you know, clamoring, you know, hey, I need to sell this car. We don't need it. What can we do to sell this car? Kind of giving us insight into like, oh, you a druggy or drunk, or you relapse. Okay. It's horrible to see. And then not only have we relapsed, but we are clearly having a relationship with the cousin, an ongoing one. We have a relationship, we're having sex, we're having small talk, we're discussing bridges, we're snorting coke. And then, you know, we see the clip like, okay, month 4. And I'm like, month 4? Month 3 and 4? There couldn't have been a strong bond there, even, you know, for them as parents or in a marriage, for things to happen so quickly. I was like, well, damn, dude, is this how things go? Is it? Is this marriage? Fix it. But we have gotten to the point that we've seen, you know, absolutely no communication, no relationship. And her sister give that insight of, you know, the earring was in the car and this and that, which, you know, eludes her to there is some infidelity going on with her husband in her marriage. And we also see her kind of, you know, stray a little bit with the coworker at a party, engage into, you know, some kissing and, you know, stop herself. And then we see just how far things have fallen when we get to the house the following morning. And we see, you know, clearly what Shia has been up to, and we see that ball, that symbolic ball, like we're going to use this to push and get the blood flowing and get this baby out ball. From the beginning, hey, baby, you want to, you know, sit on this? Remember the doctor said, you know, you said you wanted to use this to assist. It was such a loving object. So to see Shia throw that at her face and, you know, those ashes flicker, honey, it's like, all right, Shia, like, what's up? I was mad for her. Like, boy, don't. What you not going to do is curse me out and verbally abuse me and physically hit me with this ball. I was like, all right, yeah, they done. They are done. That ball was so symbolic. Like, he threw it back at her face. Like, I'm throwing these insults, these things back at you, these things that you have been spewing at me for months. I'm like, oh my God, it's just been a couple months. It felt like years had went by. That decline just went, it was like beep, beep, death to marriage. And for her to, you know, deflate it with that cigarette, it was like the deflation of, you know, the entire marriage. And you're just sitting there as an audience waiting, like, is she going to, you know, inquire about the earring? She doesn't even care at this point. Martha has cut ties and cut herself off from everything. And we see, you know, no grieving on her part. She has not given herself time or room to just grieve. It was like, no, I want to take this down. I want to give the baby to science. I want to go on. I want to get back to work quickly and just forget about it. And we know things, especially as, you know, parents, it doesn't work like that. Now, throughout the film, we have, you know, seen the obsession, you know, with the apples, and not a whole lot of emotions on Martha's part, other than when she's being defensive towards her husband or towards her family members. We also see that the black nail polish has been a staple for her. And I felt like it was something that she was, you know, hanging on to from that moment. That warm moment of when, you know, she thought she was about to be a mother. It stays there. It's peeling. She has yet to take it off, though. It still stayed there. It was still on her. So she was aware enough not to remove it, but still not aware enough to deal with her emotions. After all is said and done, and we see that the case is slowly, you know, making progress, and we're on the news, and this is a big case. This midwife is gone from, you know, the way that people are speaking, and it's her fault, and this, and she's going down, she's getting jail time, you guys are going to get paid, you're going to get this. And yet we still see Martha like, no, we knew immediately that this is not what, Martha didn't care. And from us watching, you know, before, we knew ourselves. Well, I don't know, because me, myself, with the midwife, I felt like she should have been heavy-handed on as soon as that heart rate began to drop. Okay, yeah, this is something I'm not equipped to handle. Let's call now. Let's get someone here now, instead of waiting later and pacing it so far that, you know, something that maybe could have been prevented. I don't know. I was a little, But we do see that she tried. But, you know, Martha, in the midst of, you know, the childbirth, is like, what all mothers are doing. I'm trying to get this done. I'm trying to get it out. Just get it out. Get it out. It's like alien. Get it out. Get it out. But we get into this dinner party from hell. And I was like, are we really about to do this? Not only is Martha there with, you know, this person we see. It's like, why are you guys there together? The marriage is like, if it's not over, it's about to be. He's there. He's cheating. He's, you know, having substance abuse problems to the point that he's, you know, sold the car. And we see the mistress, cousin, lawyer, relative there, and the sister, and the mom, and the cousin, car salesman. And I was like, oh, this is the setup for a disaster. And we're sitting there kind of on pins and needles while we hear this talking of the white stripes. I love how casual Shia was. I was like, Shia, like you better act Shia LaBeouf, because he was like so unscathed. Like, yeah, I see her over there. I know my wife is here, but yeah, we about to talk about these white stripes. Boom, 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 boom. We about to talk about that. It was so seamless. And we're watching, you know, Martha kind of ease around, and you're feeling like, does she know? She knows. She knows. Does she know? You feeling like she knows, but you know, and you see, you know, the cousin just kind of, she ain't hit me in the back of my damn hair yet, so maybe she don't know. Horrible. But we get into why the mother even put this together for them to all be there. And we finally get the conversation that we wanted Martha to have from jump. This is nothing you can run from. That whole monologue with the mom, and, you know, the mom, and my mom did this. She didn't, you know, raise me, you know, to be strong. I was weak, almost didn't make it. She had to go get milk. You have to be strong. You have to deal with this. I didn't give you what you needed as a mom, and I'm sorry for that. For you to not, you know that you don't need to hold those things in. You have to deal with them, or you're not going to make it past this. She was giving me, she was acting chops. I was here for it. I was like, yes, tell her that. And Martha, you know, she's like, no, I don't need this. You don't tell me what I need, which we don't know what, you can never know what you need at that moment. You can never know. You have to deal with those things in your own time, on your own. But with the mom, we're like, you have to do something. You can't walk around another 5 to 6 months, the rest of this year, like a zombie. We have to do something. You have to, you know, you have to face that woman in court. You have to do something. But we know for Martha, it's not about facing her. It's not about court. It's not about money. But at that point, we still don't know what it's about. And then it's at this point that we also see Sean's, the husband's whole true colors. We had seen them early on, you know, with the ball and with how quick he was to dismiss the grieving process, not only for himself, but for his wife, and go to the cheating and the substance abuse. And we see the mom go and write a check. Now, in my mind, I was like, oh, she, you know, she sees, because she was, you know, very alone with, you can't smoke a cigarette, you can't do this. Everybody's, you know, warning him about his sobriety. I thought the mom was about to, you know, write a check and go, hey, you take this check. I need you to go get some help. I need you to go fix yourself to be the man that my daughter needs. No, honey, mama wrote a check and was like, hey, take this, go to Seattle, go to wherever you need to go. I never liked you. Wow. I was like, oh yeah. But I was here for it. There was nothing in his character at that moment, though we did feel sorry for him in ways. But the bad outweighed the good at that point. And I was kind of with mom, like, well, I'm not giving you no check. You can just go. But just to see how desperate she was to save her daughter and get away all negative. We don't need you here. Take this check and go do what you need to do. Not only do we see Shia LaBeouf take the money, but we see exactly the type of character he is to go outside of her mother's house on the porch to not only find common interest with the lawyer cousin that he's been sleeping with, propositions her to go, you know, hey, we probably should have met earlier. You ever been to Seattle? Oh, you're just passing out Seattle to all the bitches. Okay. I was like, yeah. Cut that check and go. But why is you here? Why is you here? Like, just go. Trash. Shia was trash. It was Shia LaBeouf for me. It was Sean for me. It was the husband for me. Now, not only do we see, you know, Martha begin to take back some of her strength, as far as, you know, standing up, you know, not only to her mom about, you know, not wanting to be seen as a Judas and her being embarrassed and her being ashamed and this is not my fight, I need something else. We see that she takes back a little bit within her marriage. Not only am I not going with you to Seattle, not only do I not care for you leaving, not only do I know I need you out my life, I'm going to drive you to the airport. I was like, oh, all right. Oh, that's done. And then we see Martha return back to the house to see, you know, the apple seeds that she, you know, experimented on with the pads and I can't remember what the technique or the method is called, but we see them sprout. And it's such a symbolic moment of always going, you know, stuff, you know, something started out as a seed and it's sprouting. And it was, you know, a little symbolism, you know, for childbirth and pregnancy. And, you know, you can always sprout again. There were many seeds. All of them sprouted. Like, you always have an opportunity to try again. But we see Martha get ready to go to trial. And in the courtroom, things are really tense. At first, I was like, can you just punch your cousin in the face one time? But she didn't. We get into the courtroom and you're kind of looking at things from both sides. And you're thinking, you know, should Martha have maybe, you know, obliged more to go to the hospital? Should she have, you know, obliged more as the midwife to go, no, it's really crucial. Go now, when she had those first thoughts of something might be wrong. And you see, you know, interrogation on both sides, but you also see that the midwife is, you know, her breathing, her looks, her pulse, because they zoom in on areas of the body like the neck, the throat, the eyes, and the face. And you see how worried she is that her life could be taken away over, you know, something as small as a mistake like this, but it happened to, you know, be a part of this baby's life being taken. And, you know, things that, you know, a midwife may have to deal with if they don't, you know, act properly to certain things that can result into the death of a baby. Shout out to the midwives. But you get more into Martha's interrogation and her not being equipped to handle, you know, all of the questions. You know, did you see the baby? Did you? And you know, we're on the audience, we're like, yeah, she saw him. She saw her breathe. She saw her skin. She saw her hair. She saw how beautiful she was. And you know, we remember that picture. Now, me myself, I remember them taking those pictures this entire movie, and I was waiting, like, you know, when is she going to go back and look at that? That's the only image that they have of the baby before she passed. But she, you know, steps down and takes a moment and goes to get that picture developed, and we finally see a mental breakthrough and breakdown on Mother's part. And she sees, you know, I did feel her. I held her. She was beautiful. But we also see her go back into the courtroom to finally give her piece that we knew she was going to give concerning the midwife. No, I don't think this was her fault, and this won't bring my baby back. And we see her not only talk to the audience, you see her talk to the midwife, and you see her talking to her mom, letting her know, I'm taking back myself, my strength, my power in this moment. Though I'm not, you know, for the prosecution, for the money, trying to send this midwife to jail, this is what I need from me. None of this is going to bring my daughter back, and I don't think it was her fault. And we end on that note as far as the courtroom. And then we finally get to see her on that bridge and see that even though she did give the baby up for science, her ashes were in the urn, and she scatters them on the river. And you get a little backdoor reference to Shia in his reference to the bridge after he was sleeping. But you know, it didn't hold the same power because Shia was a thought. But you see that happen, and then we end on a little girl climbing into a tree to get an apple. And you see Martha come out in reference to it, you know, probably being her daughter. You don't see where Martha lives. You don't really see much of her face. You don't see any background. You just see her eating that apple in that tree and her coming to get her baby girl down. And none of those things matter, because at the end of the movie, the notion is, though I did have these hard times, you know, my marriage disintegrated. Not only did I, in the end, you know, start to patch up my relationship with my mom and get this toxic husband out of my life, I tried again. You end on a positive note of the tree growing and the seeds and the apples, and it's just so many metaphors for you can always try again. There's always a chance for a new seed to grow. New apples, new life, new babies, new baby girls. It was beautiful. Now, I did enjoy this film. This was a healthy film. Towards the middle of the film, the pacing did begin to get a little slow because we didn't quite know where we were going. We just, you know, were watching the deterioration of a marriage and really getting further off into how bad of a character Shia LaBeouf was and how he was dealing with, you know, you saw those notions of, you know, as far as the husband part, things can go left. These notions, these emotions can lead men to go here. We spent a lot of time on that. I wish we got more time with Martha. We didn't get much dialogue with Martha, and I'm sure that was intentional because in those moments, what is there to say? I don't want to talk. I don't want to be bothered. But we sure got a lot of time with Shia LaBeouf. I love the moments that we got, you know, with the mom and her reiterating things to her and admitting to her mistakes and seeing that she was flawed. I love how she just, hey, get this check. I never liked you. Like, that was so blunt and so left field for me. And I love the ending message of the movie. There's always a second time. There's always room to try again, which is really needed in this world, especially for mothers who deal with issues like this and always have those notions of, what if this happens again? Do I want to try again? Is it worth it to try again? I'm scared to try again. But we see in the end that Martha did try again, and she got her baby girl. How did you guys feel about this movie? Did you enjoy the movie as much as I did? Were you grossed out? Was it too long? Did you think it was negative? Did you not want to see these things on screen? Drop down and let me know that. Comment below. If you loved it, comment below. If you love this review, please drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video if you have not already. I see you guys for my next video. Bye.